Good morning, or as my smartwatch called it at 6:14 a.m., prime cortisol window. Today we're going to talk about Iran, cigarettes, Mexico, and the most dangerous predator to mankind of all. It's not a bear. It's not a tiger. It's not a scorned big booty Latina. No, it's a female cop with her gun drawn and something to prove. But first, I want to talk about the strange religion of optimization. The smartwatches, the protein lattes, the cold plunges, the peptides, the walks with your uncle when you were a child. Just kidding. We turned the simple act of existing into a high stakes engineering project. I saw a guy at a coffee shop yesterday wearing like this continuous glucose monitor and an Oura ring. He spent like 10 minutes arguing with the barista about oat milk fat content because a glucose spike would ruin his flow state for his 11 a.m. deep work session. He looked miserable. But his app told him he was winning. He was perfectly calibrated, a machine with absolutely nowhere to go. Think about how insane that is. You wake up feeling refreshed, ready to wrestle a bear, and then you check your phone. The app says recovery at 34%. Take it easy. And what do? We sit down. We let the data override the biology. We've outsourced our intuition to a Silicon Valley startup that wants you paying a monthly fee for access to a premium dashboard. We're becoming ghosts in our own machines. Why do we do this? Well, my thesis is because tracking feels like progress. Optimization is the ultimate security blanket for the modern existential crisis. We live in a world that is chaotic and crumbling. You can't control the economy. You can't control if people like you. You can't control if you get a boner in the line at McDonald's to get a Big Mac. So what do? You control your heart rate. You control your supplement stack. We've replaced purpose with metrics. If I can't guarantee my life has meaning, at least I can guarantee I hit 150 grams of protein today. We're using spreadsheets to hide from the fact that we're terrified of being out of control. And of course, there's an industry selling you the solution to the anxiety they created. It's not about health anymore. It's about a $500 monthly supplement stack and a $5,000 home sauna. We turned going on a walk into a zone 2 cardio exposure. But spoiler alert, you're dying anyway. The ring just gives you a front row seat to the countdown. The Oura ring is like an expensive $400 mood ring. Here's the truth. Optimization is just a socially acceptable form of procrastination. We spend so much time preparing to live, tracking the sleep, prepping the meal, that we forget to actually do the thing. Great art and great lives aren't built in optimized windows. They're built in the mess. The most interesting people in history were tragically unoptimized. Imagine Hemingway pausing a fever dream writing session because his watch told him his heart rate was too high. We are optimizing ourselves into being the most boring version of humanity ever recorded. So today, I, the Coonskin Nation, we're reclaiming the beauty of being suboptimal. Because honestly, I'd rather be a messy human than a perfectly calibrated piece of hardware. We're all doing too much. It's time to be messy. Welcome back to the Taylor Morris Show. Welcome back, folks. Coonskin Nation, I've missed you guys a lot. Real quickly, my fans in Japan, a lot of the women in Japan are saying, well, you're wearing the hat because you're hat fishing. Today, we put that to rest. It's a little messy, my hair. Absolutely not hat fishing. I'm a fucking Shia pet, bro. Okay? Just wanted to make that clear. All good. Okay? It's all there. So we have a lot of good stuff to get into today. Gosh, the world is getting crazy, but the Coonskin Nation prevails. And about all this optimization stuff, just on a personal anecdote front, because we do have a lot to talk about. Mexico, Iran, female cops. We're going to get into that. And I think the psyop that is cigarettes are bad for you. I know I sound a little bit like a smoker today. I have a sore throat. Um, I may or may not have smoked a cigarette in the morning. I thought it would tickle my throat nicely. I don't know. May have just agitated it. But I want to talk about first all this hyper optimization that's going on in our world and how that honestly nearly killed me during COVID. Now, before we get into that, a word from our sponsor, Placebo Path. Every health app, and this is pretty relevant for what we just talked about. Every health app these days is trying to ruin your life. They tell you your heart rate is too high, your sleep quality is poor, and that third IPA was a significant health risk. Who needs that kind of negativity? Welcome to Placebo Path, the only wellness app that prioritizes your feelings over your actual medical data. Our interface doesn't connect to your pulse or your blood sugar, it connects to your ego. Want to feel like an Olympic athlete after sitting on the couch for 12 hours? Just tell the app you crushed it. And Placebo Path will generate a beautiful 4K chart showing your cardiovascular health in the top 1% of humans. Our AI driven enabling engine will look at a photo of your double bacon cheeseburger and log it as a macro dense superfood medley. If you wake up with a hangover, our Vitality Glow filter will show you a reflection of a man who just finished a spiritual retreat in the Alps. Stop living in fear of your doctor's charts. Start living in a custom built physiological fantasy. Placebo Path, because the truth won't make you feel better, but our data visualization will. Download today and get your first God Tier Health certification with code Coonskin. Very happy to be a partner of them. So, anyways, oh boy, I'm going to make it through this, but this is going to test my throat. I'm going to talk about optimization. I actually first want to talk about cigarettes, okay? It's become evidently clear that in addition to all our government and business leaders and academic leaders all being pedophiles, because the system set up requires of these people, in order to get in a place of power, you have to commit some taboo pedophilic act. So all your heroes are pedophiles. All your heroes are pedophiles. Okay, I was talking to my mom on the phone. I'm like, yeah, everyone's focused on like the molestation stuff. But in Mexico, Epstein had birthing farms where he had trafficked women who were trapped there and just were impregnated over and over again to produce these babies for genetic modification, for satanic ritual abuse and sacrifice. And my mom didn't want to hear about the birthing farm. She's like, I don't want to hear about that. I'm focused on fucking the Today Show cupcake recipes and where the hell Nancy Guthrie is. Fuck off. Nancy Guthrie, like, it's sort of like when the sub exploded in the ocean. Okay, media literacy, folks, right? This is way too interesting, way too tragic. Why are they dragging this on for so long? Project Mockingbird, CIA, where they have all their people in news organizations. Why the hell are we talking about Nancy Guthrie's disappearance for 6 weeks? Well, in the backdrop, right, we have the Epstein files. Prince Andrew just got arrested. That other guy, what's his name? He was the UK ambassador to America, also got arrested. Now, this may be showmanship, and they may just be throwing scraps to the populace. Look at we're enforcing justice. Prince Charles up there on the podium while he's got a 4-year-old girl sucking him off underneath the podium. He's like, we've enforced justice. Justice is being brought. Believe in the system. And you have all these Gen X women, okay, sitting in bed watching the Today Show in the morning. I love my mother, I'm just saying. And what's being drilled into them is, we got to find Nancy Guthrie. How much is Nancy Guthrie willing to pay the people who kidnapped her mom? We got to find Nancy Guthrie. Oh my God. It's crazy because Nancy Guthrie used to report on this stuff. And now her mom's missing. Let me drink a glass of tap water with more fluoride so I can just dumb myself down and clap like a seal while they look for Nancy Guthrie, forgetting about the fact that 340,000 children are missing off the border under the last administration. Their transfer into the U.S. facilitated by shady, shadowy NGOs. But no, Nancy Guthrie. We got to get to the bottom of that. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Okay. And she called my aunt. I was talking to my aunt. My aunt was like, your mom called me. She was like, do you think the baby farms actually exist? And my aunt, to her credit, was like, yeah, I've actually heard about that. My mom was like, I don't want to talk about that. Let's focus on Nancy Guthrie and getting to the bottom of that. Because that is what matters. Not. Anyways, I'm going to try and say anyways less during the podcast, but I have to say it sometimes to transition. Or I could say, instead of anyways, I could say transitioning to cigarettes. Coonskin Nation, we know that the government is lying to us. I think World War II is a lie. We never went to the moon. World War II is a lie. There were advanced civilizations that existed before us. Our timeline of humanity is all false. As an example, take the Grand Canyon. When there were expeditions into the Grand Canyon into the 1800s, and they found hieroglyphs and Egyptian artifacts that we associate with Egypt in caves there. What happened? Well, the Smithsonian family came, bought up all those artifacts, put them under the basement of the Smithsonian, and to this day, there are areas of the Grand Canyon that we can't travel to. You will be interdicted by a federal officer with a gun, with like an M16 being like, this is federal land. This is a secure area. You, as a godly individual, bound by the laws of God, part of Mother Earth, cannot come here because your federal government who works for you said so. Eat my ass. Eat my ass, Fed. Maybe we do a live stream to the Grand Canyon. We are, folks, Coonskin Nation, we are doing a live stream in South Africa and Zimbabwe in June. Stay tuned for that. So we know that the government lies about everything, and I was in the gas station convenience store today, and I saw on the wall a federal judge ruled that Philip Morris must inform American citizens 1,200 people die of smoking-related illness every day. And my thought process is here is a government that eats and fucks children and traffics them. It deceives us about everything. Everything. Doesn't, has ridiculous tariffs that don't allow better Chinese technology to come into the country. Topples dictators abroad. Is about to start a war with Iran when like 60% of the American public doesn't want that. But they don't care because they don't serve us. And this same government is telling us that cigarettes are bad. I say bullshit. Bullshit. A group of lying pedophiles, if you're so focused on telling me don't smoke cigarettes, I'm sorry, you've lost my trust. In fact, everything you say, I believe the opposite. So I do believe that they're hiding something about cigarettes. So yeah, I did smoke a cigarette this morning. And I was talking to my friend Archie. You know what he said? Because I was like, I think we're being lied to about cigarettes. Now, I'm not here to pick up a 20 cigarette or pack a day habit. But I think a casual cigarette once a week, when you're just called to do it, is a great way to say fuck you to the system. This tobacco is growing from the earth. It's not some formaldehyde vape developed in some lab in China with children in a sweatshop. And the John comes in and he says, I need 1,000 more vapes. Get on it. And the kids with their calloused little fingers are putting together these little tchotchke and trinket vapes. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, the vape juice spilled on me and I'm starting to get a rash. Please. Help me. No. Get back to work. The Americans need more vapes.
But the rashes on my back and my fingers are calloused. I can't make any more vapes.
I don't care. Make the vapes. Put formaldehyde in them. We have more Americans to kill. The Chinese have a very... Speaking of Chinese maxing, folks, I'm going to talk about the memory of the Chinese. We joke about the Chinese maxing. You may think that's all fun. Not only does it have very good health benefits, but I preach the Chinese maxing to the Coonskin Nation because we must be prepared to assimilate when China takes over. When the Chinese economy grows so big and the US experiment crumbles, we are going to be Chinese. China's going to annex the United States. Now, I probably won't be able to talk as freely on the podcast. I understand that. But I do think the idea of having a supreme leader like President Xi would maybe be a good change of pace. I have my friend Kyle in the room. He's listening to the recording, and he appears to be nodding too. Kyle, you're in support of China? That's affirmative. So we're ready to be Chinese. And, I don't think that's something to be afraid of. I think that's something to embrace. But anyways, the Chinese have a very long memory. Okay, the Opium Wars. Remember that? Britain was importing opium off ships off the shore of China to destabilize the Chinese economy because they were competing in trade. China remembered that. And what's happening today, folks? All the fentanyl precursors are coming from China. And I'm sorry, anyone who thinks that the Chinese government isn't keenly aware of that and sort of, if not directly facilitating, at the least turning a blind eye, is foolish. Because of course they know. Of course fentanyl that's moved into Mexico and then promptly trafficked in the United States is destabilizing our society. Totally destabilizing. It's because it's no longer shown on the news as much. But the drug crisis in this country is out of control. I was just reading the other day that North Korea has a huge drug problem with methamphetamine. Something like 70% of young adults in North Korea have done meth. Which, I don't know, if you're living in the Truman Show and you're sort of working the fields all day and everything's fake and you go to the grocery store and you pick up an orange and it crumbles into clay in your hand and you're like, this is all fake. Fuck it. Do meth, I guess. Excuse me. So the Chinese have a long memory, right? Importing fentanyl. I always take it back, and we're going to circle back to the vapes and cigarettes. These vapes, my buddy Archie said, the vape smokes you. You smoke the cigarette. And I couldn't agree more. The vapes don't smell, right? You can vape them anywhere. You can vape them on an airplane. They taste good. They don't make your clothes smell. But honestly, I mean, what the hell are you vaping when you vape? No one knows. You don't know. I had a guy be like, "Oh, it's water vapor." I'm dead serious. It's water. I'm like, it's not water vapor. It's not water vapor that you're smoking. It's what do they call it? Glycerol. It's like that thick, viscous substance. Can't be good. Cannot be good. So I want to also talk, speaking of that theme of like over optimization, like if you remember during COVID when everyone went remote, I was working as a management consultant. Okay. Then we went remote. And I was someone who thrived off of like that in-person stuff, little gossip, plant some rumors during the lunch break. Oh, that guy's cheating on his wife. Stuff like that. I lost my absolute mind when we went remote. Completely lost my mind. I was doing consulting projects, mergers and acquisitions, where you advise the management of companies on complex transactions. This is kind of boring and gay, but complex transactions where companies buy and sell other companies. And when you're it's a very complex thing, spreadsheets, all that. And when I was in person, I could manage. I actually hated the work. Would travel Monday through Thursday on planes, land there, work like 60 to 75 hours a week. I ended up putting on 60 pounds because, like, when I would have my one dinner break that they paid for, I would be like, I'll take a ribeye and a bottle of wine. And I would just sit there with my headphones on like a fucking autistic kid, scrolling my phone and just inhaling a ribeye and crushing a bottle of wine. Maybe a martini too. It was absolutely out of control. But I mean, that's what I thought life was. I forgot who the hell I was. And I was charading as this guy management consultant. I talked about this. And I lost touch with myself. And I became the guy who was like LinkedIn, work, happy hour, all that stuff. And Coonskin Nation, I lost my mind so bad. So the whole idea with work from home is there was this corporate lie. Like it was all about optimization, like the health trackers. There's no commute. We don't have to pay for travel. We can all interact on Zoom. We won't catch COVID from one another, whatever the hell COVID was. Whatever the hell COVID was. But it was sold as the ultimate freedom. For me, the first couple weeks felt like vacation. Okay, I could work from home, wear my boxers, like order Uber Eats, just stay in my apartment all the time. Windows weren't open. It was just like the air was recycling. And it slowly started to get dark. I mean, by the third month, the walls were closing in. And I've talked about this. I started to feel this dis-ease. I felt really discontent. Being alone with myself all the time. I was like, I'm kind of afraid to be alone with this guy. I don't know who this guy is. This guy's attending all these Zoom meetings and circling back and all that. And I started to be like, has everything I've been taught about what's going to make me happy not true, this trajectory I'm on? And holy smokes, that was existential. And I was like, I'm not, shut up. I don't want to deal with that thought. I'm going to pop a Xanax to quiet my brain and not think about that. Oh, and what a solution that was. What a solution that was. As soon as those uncomfortable thoughts crept up, boom, Xanax. 2 shots to the back of the head. Done. And the corpse of that thought lied down for a while and started to disintegrate. But then a new day would come. I'd have new Zoom meetings, stuff like that. And the thought would actually come back, but stronger. So it started to be like, well, that solution I've been using at night, the Xanax, could work perfectly during the day. It's a perfect solution. Why not? I'm on a Zoom screen. It's not like booze, right? If I run into anyone, they're not going to smell my breath. And what's the harm? It's a little Xanax. Time goes by. I'm managing it capably, and I'm buying the stuff off the dark web, so I know it's tested and all that. And this goes on for a couple months. I'm neglecting myself entirely. My whole life consists of doing my job at work and then managing my anxiety and rebound anxiety at night, drinking, booze, anything to calm that beast of a thought down of like, this is not what you're meant to do. Shut up, thoughts, I said. And so I was in this beautiful apartment in Seaport doing this. And eventually I ran out of the dark web Xanax. So I had to buy Xanax off the street. And that, the Xanax off the street, I had no idea what it was. Because the Xanax I bought off the dark web, Xanax is a benzodiazepine. It's called an anxiolytic, which is anti-anxiety medication. You may have heard of Valium, Klonopin, all that stuff. Diazepam. I clearly know too much about this, but it's because I live this life. And so I was buying this off the street, and I had no idea what this was that I was getting. And so I would take it, and it would sort of work well. But there were afternoons where I was on Zoom with people, and I would just fall asleep on Zoom or Teams or whatever. I'd just fall asleep. That was not good. That was the wheels starting to come off a little bit. And I'm going to tell the story because it's a good one. This all culminated in me actually being on a trip where I visited work colleagues for a project in New York City. I was in Boston at the time. And we were at the office working in New York, and I had my hotel room, which is very nice. And there I had my Xanax. And we were like, well, we're all meeting at this Indian restaurant for dinner. It was like the nicest Indian restaurant in New York City. And I'm like, cool, I'll see you guys there. But before I go there, I got to swing by my apartment and grab something. I'll meet you there. And so work ends, I call an Uber Black. I was always calling Uber Blacks. It was within expense budget. So I was like, I'm gonna, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna feel like a king. Call Uber Black, stop by the apartment, grab 2 Xanax, pop them. That was a lozenge, not a Xanax I just popped. I get to the hotel. I get to the restaurant. Everyone's sitting down in the restaurant. All the partners, all my project teammates. And there at the front entrance of the restaurant, of this Indian restaurant, is this beautiful coworker. She's sitting there, and there's one other seat. So I feel like this was God trying to teach me a lesson. We were there, front and center, just the two of us. Everyone else was at like tables of 6. And so I sat down, I acknowledged everyone. And these were like big shot partners there too. Come on, Taylor. But whatever. I sat down and I'm like, hey, how are you doing? I'm talking to her. And I order a mango lassi. The mango lassi comes, and I kid you not, I look at her and I'm like, yeah. And the words just melted out of my mouth. And the next thing I knew, like I fell out. I overdosed right in front of everyone. And the next thing I knew, I was looking at the ceiling of an ambulance with my damn manager at the foot of the ambulance bed. And I was like, no, no. I've unfortunately had this sensational experience a couple times before, that feeling of overdosing. And let me tell you, I wish that upon no one. It's the craziest experience ever because you basically go from dying to resurrecting. It's like the sensation that your soul is sort of thrust back in your bodysuit. And you're like, what the hell? It was just somewhere else. I only have one proper near death experience, but still, the overdoses are crazy. I'm not proud of this, obviously, but I feel the need to talk about it because this is me and my story. I overdosed 7 times in 6 months on an airplane where flight attendants pulled the oxygen mask off my face, almost had to divert the flight. The very next, after this overdose incident in front of my work colleagues, the very next day I overdosed off the same Xanax batch at LaGuardia Airport in the bathroom, in my suit with my briefcase. I was brought to a hospital in Queens where I was there for 14 days in the trauma unit. The guy next to me, we shared a hospital room, had been in a terrible motorcycle accident. I couldn't see him, but for the next 14 days, I heard these gurgling, blood-curdling screams. Ah, all day and night. It was hell. They didn't shower me once. And the doctors came in and were like, your kidneys are going to fail. And I was so far gone that I was like, no, they're not. And they're like, this is when 4 doctors come into your hospital room, that's never a good sign. Never a good sign. Right? One doctor comes in and like, okay, you're gonna be here for this amount of time. 4 doctors came in. They were like, you're 27 and your kidneys are gonna fail. The only thing we can do is put you on a saline drip and hope that works out. So for the next 14 days, I was there in a hospital bed, no shower. The place was a dump. It was a public hospital. But it taught me, it was good that I stayed there and wasn't comfortable because I was like, I never want to do this again. And fortunately, by the grace of God, my kidneys made 100% recovery. I want to tell you how many times I've whistled past the graveyard. The fact that I'm sitting here is miraculous. This is why I don't care about preaching about cigarettes or the danger of female cops or how the country is turning trans and gay. Because I'm living on borrowed time. Like, what am I here to do? I'm here to share my voice. And this is going to be, mark my words, this is going to be one of the biggest podcasts in the world. So, Coonskin Nation, if you're still here, like, rate, subscribe, share it with your friends, comment. We're going to the moon, and I'm taking you all with me. So, I talked a little about Nancy Guthrie, cigarettes. I want to talk about the most dangerous predator in the world. Okay, I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. There are only a couple animals that actually actively hunt humans. They're polar bears, they're tigers, and there might be one other. It's escaping me. But the fourth is a female cop with something to prove. And that's not sexist. It's really not. I saw a video online of a guy getting his mail from the porch, and a female cop doing a wellness check unloaded her clip of like 10 bullets into this guy's chest. And then the other cops came and were like, "What the hell did you do?" She's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's not an indictment of women, but let's be real. Like the feminine spirit, divine femininity is the womb. It's creation, it's intuition, it's that realm. For women, the challenge in life is to be. For men, the masculine spirit, it's about to become, to make something of yourself. And our society is so out of whack because the feminine and masculine are all distorted. We have, yes, we have toxic masculinity, but folks, we also have toxic femininity. That's what wokeness is. It's all about trying to reach consensus and not hurt anyone's feelings. Divine masculinity is about truth and assertion and not caring about the feelings of everyone, getting something done and making a point. So it's okay to say there is danger in this archetype of the female cop who feels like she has something to prove. There are a lot of good female cops out there, I'm sure. Okay, but there are also a lot of videos online of female cops trying to take on a suspect and civilians having to join in to help that female cop make the arrest. Again, it's not an indictment on females. If you're getting triggered by this, you have some self-reflection to do because this shouldn't be triggering. This is an observation, and it's okay. To observe this is not to say women suck or women can't be cops, but we have to be able to freely talk about the fact that you never see a female and female partnership of cops patrolling the street. It's always a man and a woman or a man and a man. Right? So a female cop with their gun drawn is the scariest predator to mankind. Because there's a confluence of factors going on there. I mean, a woman who seeks to be a cop, psychologically, I think there's something there. There's a reason why women and femininity are drawn to roles, and this is not an indictment. I shouldn't have to keep qualifying this, but like being a nurse, being a social worker, being a therapist, that's the domain of the feminine. The domain of the masculine is war, conflict, justice, honor, policing. So there is some sort of psychology there where, that female cop may not have surrendered to her divine femininity and claim that. And I'll pray for her. I really will. I want to transition into the conflict in Iran, Kunskin Nation. And you have a lot of people talking about this, right? We have the most fabulous buildup of naval and air power in the region since 2000. Okay? I want to make this very clear. If we attack Iran, we'd be doing it for Israel. We'd be fighting Israel's war. This whole idea that Iran is on the precipice of getting a nuclear bomb, Kunskin Nation, that's been in the papers for like 30 years. For 30 years, we've been hearing how close they are, how close they are. The veil is dropping. Israel has nuclear weapons, and they're not a part of any of the international monitoring treaties. And listen, I don't hate Israel. I don't hate Jews. I actually have, my mom's side of the family is Jewish, okay? It is. But I don't like Israel. And we don't have to like Israel. I'm American. And that's the end of it. But so the story with Iran, okay? Polls indicate only 16 to 21% of the American public wants conflict with Iran. 60% of Americans do not want conflict. Are we in a democracy or what? I mean, if the consensus is overwhelmingly we don't want war with Iran, we still see our federal government moving in that direction. What the hell? And now Iran's saying if we're attacked, We're going to release details of Trump's horrible stuff in the Epstein files to the world. And Israel's like, if you don't attack Iran, we're going to release it. So Trump's screwed anyways. And I'm sorry, the people who love Trump, like I loved the idea of Trump, right? Holding power to the swamp, being our savior. He's just as bad. No one is coming to save us. No one's coming to save us. And I have a friend who's doing, I like him a lot, but he does all these mental gymnastics of like, well, Trump's just pretending to be this way to ultimately subvert, like all this QAnon stuff of like, well, he's actually a white hat and he's actually gonna turn the whole thing on its head. No. All that's doing is siphoning your attention away. That and the Nancy Guthrie stuff or the cupcake recipe on the Today Show. All that's doing is taking your attention off the ball. The founding fathers were right. Like Alexander Hamilton thought the democratic experiment wouldn't work because these institutions end up being corrupted. That's exactly what we're seeing now. Congress people trading on inside information, living in beautiful houses, purchasing parcels of land in their state, and then getting an earmarked allocation in an omnibus bill that a major highway is going to be built through that land. Convenient, huh? Convenient. But this is, this war with Iran, don't fret, because this was actually foretold by Albert Pike. If you remember, you may not. Albert Pike was a 33rd degree Freemason. He basically wrote the Bible of Freemasonry, Morals and Dogma. Morals and Dogma. And Albert Pike, in 1871, wrote a letter to Giuseppe Mazzini regarding conspiracy involving 3 world wars that were planned in an attempt to take over the world. The Pike letter to Giuseppe Mazzini was on display in the British Museum Library in London until 1977. The following are apparently extracts from the letter showing how 3 world wars have been planned for many generations. Ready for this, Coonskin Nation? The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religion. Remember, Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. The war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that political Zionism must be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. So the differences between the fascists and the Zionists. That was Germany and the Jews. Nazism must be destroyed. That was the idea. And he wrote this in 1871. The Third World War must be fomented. Keep this in mind with Iran, Coonskin Nation. By taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists. Think about how everyone's becoming nihilistic, right? This world is crazy. I can't ascribe meaning to it because it's just too much. And we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere, the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will form from that moment, be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. They want to bring about the devil. I mean, that's the idea. One world government, AI taking over. We're going to be all right. If you're a member of Kunsky Nation, you're going to be all right. I'm just saying, this is foretold. If you want to get on a betting market and bet that we're going to bomb Iran, that's a good bet. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But he wrote this in 1871. And of course, online, it's like, yeah, this never existed. I promise. I mean, guys and girls, think about how much we're lied to. Even about the Epstein files. From 1999 to 2001, there's nothing that's been released and disclosed. Right around the time we invaded Iraq and 9/11 happened. I mean, I'm beginning to think the entire world is a psyop. Which is fine because honestly, they want your fear. That it's psychological. They want your fear and your anxiety and to be thinking about where the hell is Nancy Guthrie? Right? Oh my God, they're killing and eating children. Yeah, they are. Calm, still your waters. It's gonna be okay. That's the idea here, is to get you all spun up and freaked out. Stay calm and carry on. Yeah, so that was that. Yeah, it's disappointing, but it's disappointing, but it's not a surprise. How much money did we spend to move the 7th Naval Fleet to the Strait of Hormuz or that area in Iran? A ton. A ton. How expensive are groceries here? I mean, I just went to Walmart and got a frozen pizza the other day and some crackers, and it was like $35. And I'm fortunate, like that was not a problem for me. But I think, I think about the world and society. That's a problem. That's a real problem. I've talked about the people overdosing on fentanyl we have to step over on the way to the train station, zombified, leaning over. But no, the biggest threat are the Iranians getting a nuclear bomb. Really? Is it? If your house isn't in order, you can't help your neighbor. Morally speaking, the American society is sick, and we're told we need to go fight a war far away in the Middle East? Piss off. Suck a bag of dicks. Honestly. Eat my ass. Unbelievable. This is the same shit as Iraq. It's the same stuff. And this is not anti-Jew or anti-Israel. It's anti-Benjamin Netanyahu, who comes in 2001, he did his circuit in Congress and was like, the Iraqis have weapons of mass destruction. They weren't even involved in 9/11. That was Saudi Arabia. Apparently, the 19 hijackers, who the FBI knew was taking flight lessons in Florida. And one of the hijackers told the flight instructor, I don't need to learn how to land this plane. The flight instructor told that to the FBI field office. It somehow got lost in the noise. All the rubble from 9/11 was shipped off to China 4 days after. Why couldn't we analyze that? Oh, because there was traces of thermite in the rubble? Why did Lucky Larry Silverstein, the owner of the Twin Towers, take out a policy on terrorism like a year before? And he ate breakfast every morning on like the 90th floor. That one morning he had a dentist appointment. Same with Lubnick or whatever, that guy in the Trump cabinet, Howard Lutnick, who denied being in the Epstein files, and then we come to find out he was on Epstein Island twice. He was working with Larry Silverstein. He's the architect of all these Trump tariffs that have now been shut down by the Supreme Court. And you know what? Lucky Howard Lutnick, his sons worked for Cantor Fitzgerald and bought up all the refund credits for the tariffs from Fortune 1000 companies. And now they get to cash in because the tariff regime that he architected conveniently has been overturned and was illegal. And his sons are going to make 400% on those credits they bought. The American nation is like a carcass here. And there's a parasite. One of our greatest allies in the Middle East has been parasitic to America. And we are a corpse that's rotting. We are in the fifth stage of empire failure. Look at the institutions are failing us. It's okay though. Don't freak out. We're going to be all right. Just look around and be grateful for the wonderful people in your life, for the things we have. It's all going to be okay. But it's important to be aware of this. Don't let it siphon your anxiety or induce anxiety or fear, or don't let it siphon your attention. But be aware of it. Be aware of it. Remember, we are masters of our soul, okay? Commanders of our fate. It's going to be okay. But, we have to acknowledge that these parasites are siphoning off America, and we're going to be nothing but a corpse when they're done with it. We will rebuild. Oh, we will rebuild, and coonskin hats will be the mandatory outfit for everyone in society. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a period of unrest here. And the problem is, if we invade Iran, Iran has said they're already going to destroy their oil fields. I don't think people understand are people in the State Department even considering this? That if we invade Iran and they destroy the oil fields, the global oil market is going to get turned upside down. And they say, oh, the U.S. is energy independent. We're not the ones setting oil prices. And keep in mind, with the unrest in Minneapolis, right, and people losing their jobs from AI, including white collar people, this is a keg of gunpowder ready to be sparked. And if you add the gasoline onto the fire of oil prices being untenably expensive, well, I mean, we'd probably have a revolution. Something. People would go insane. There at that point there would be like, it's the Maslow hierarchy of needs. My basic needs aren't being met. I can't afford groceries. I can't afford gas. And my fucking politicians forget that they're eating and fucking babies. They're not even representing my will. They're fighting wars abroad. Fuck it. Let's flip the table. We got to flip the table and reset it because this isn't working out. And that's what people might think. To the FBI guy watching this podcast, just to be clear, I'm not calling for any of this. I'm just a social commentator. Speaking of revolutionary spirit, look what's happening south of the border in Mexico. The Mexican government, with the help of the U.S., killed the deputy of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the CJNG. Forget what his name was, El Mancho or something. And things are going wild down there. I mean, you have all these fat Americans with their, big gulps being like, let's go take a vacation in Mexico. And all of a sudden, there are plumes of smoke rising around the resorts. The airport was being shot up. I've been to Mexico quite a few times, probably like 12 times at resorts, and it's nice. It's a little corporate. Like you go, you get a wristband, you don't have to pay for food, and you get entertainment at night. It's all about shutting down your brain. But that simulation for those people down in Mexico has been interrupted by the cartel literally waging war on the government. Apache helicopters flying over. And here's the big ruse with Mexico. You ever seen the movie Sicario, where the U.S. Department of State puts together a team of CIA and FBI operatives to go across the Mexican border and disrupt the operations? They kill the head of a cartel using a Sicario, who's really this gray operator. He's part of another cartel, but they recruit him and basically facilitate cartel conflict because it benefits the U.S. Because if they can manage, you can't erase the cartels, but if you can manage them, you can erect a system, right? The reality is there are shadowy parts of the US government who are heavily involved in drug trafficking. I mean, there are accounts of some guy in a tunnel one time who saw cartel activity and saw a US Marine in military fatigues working with the cartel. The government lies. The founding fathers knew this. The Bible talks about this. And I'm not even a Bible thumper. I'm just saying this is a truth that's been foretold that we are finally realizing. And I hope people are like, wow, all the stuff that we were told that we sort of wrote off as maybe old or ridiculous, the Bible, the framers of the Constitution, you can never trust your government fully. Now we are realizing the consequence of getting fat and falling asleep and forgetting that. We can't trust this government. We can't trust any government. This whole idea that the cartels are some way separated from Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, I would bet you that you can't become president of Mexico unless you're some way given the green light by the heads of the cartel. These cartels, folks, are Fortune 50 organizations, billions of dollars. They are run like actual companies, and they have a lot of military prowess. In addition to that, there are arms dealers that traffic the sale of grenades, rocket launchers, helicopters, submarines. Now they're using drones with IEDs. You can't separate the government of Mexico from the cartels. They're all corrupted, and the US government's corrupted too. It's like all a show, right? We're here to serve you. We're here to, we're here to fight this, fight that. What has changed? The only thing that's changed is defense contractors have enriched themselves. Congress people who are supposed to be serving us have enriched themselves. We're going to fight dumb fucking wars abroad. When was the last time that like Iran affected your day-to-day life? When was the last time you were boarding the bus and you're like, I'm worried about Iran nuking us? Where does that fall on the list of American needs? Oh, it's so disappointing. I can't let it bother me. There was a time where I let it bother me. I got so wrapped up. And I see people on social media becoming destabilized when they've been confronted with the truth of all the evil that's in the world. I've been through that. Again, 4 years ago, I spent 2 years in the child trafficking rabbit hole. And I was like trying to shake people and wake them up, but you realize you can't wake anyone up. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Again, all these old idioms have a lot of wisdom that I used to just be like, that's bullshit. It's true. Same thing with sobriety. You can't get someone they have to come to it on their own. Yes, the infrastructure like a rehab or a sober house creates the environment of water for the horse, but the horse still has to drink. The horse still has to drink. And so there's just a lot of stuff going on. And that's sort of why I wanted to talk about Mexico. I've been reflecting on this too, and I think the only person who can save us, and this is a break the glass scenario, I wouldn't say this if I wasn't serious, is Caitlyn Jenner. We need Caitlyn Jenner, folks, for the Nancy Guthrie situation, for the Iran situation, to go fight the cartels in Mexico. We as Americans, we didn't want it to get to this point where we unleash Caitlyn Jenner. But you've poked the bear. You've pushed us too far. And that's just what it is. We're going to keep calm and carry on, though. Again, it's all about the mind. In the Epstein emails, there was an email talking about trying to subvert consciousness and attack people's consciousness. It's all a war for the mind. As they say in Dune, fear is the mind killer. We have a word from one of our great sponsors here, Horizon Hospice. The Taylor Moore Show is proud to partner with them. Let's face it, traditional hospice care is depressing. It's beige rooms, soft lighting, and the lingering smell of disinfectant. Your loved one spends their final days looking at the ceiling, waiting. And let's be honest, who has time for that kind of passive transition anymore? The Taylor Moore Show is proud to introduce Horizon Hospice, the active, adventurous alternative to the traditional goodbye. We believe that when your time comes, you should go out with a bang, not a whimper. Our certified launch liaisons will meet you at the designated cliffside, strap your aging loved one onto a state-of-the-art paraglider, and, With a solemn nod and a heartfelt playlist, send them gently soaring over the horizon. It's beautiful, it's poetic, and it's incredibly efficient. No drawn out goodbyes, no awkward bedside conversations. Just the majestic silhouette of Grandpa catching a thermal, heading towards that glorious, shimmering unknown. Think of it as a Viking funeral, but with better aerodynamics and less property damage. Each package includes a custom GoPro mounted on the helmet, ensuring that the last moments of their journey are captured for your family's precious, albeit somewhat abstract, memories. You'll receive a beautiful, heavily filtered video of their final ascent, complete with an uplifting, royalty-free soundtrack. Stop lingering. Start launching. Use code Coonskin for a free cloud-kissed memorial photo. Horizon Hospice, because your loved one deserves to drift into the sunset, not just sit there and watch it. That's great. We have a testimonial from Brenda V. from Tucson, Arizona. She said, when Nana's health started to decline, we were looking at months of expensive nursing home bills and awkward Sunday visits where she just complained about the temperature. Then we found Horizon Hospice. The launch ceremony was so dignified. We just did a quick toast, unclipped her safety harness, and watched her become a tiny speck against the sunset. My 6-year-old asked where she was going, and I just pointed at the Pacific and said, she's a maritime problem now, buddy. It was truly a weight off our shoulders. Well, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda. Transitioning to the news. I want to talk about the news. And I'm going to finish up the episode by talking about the importance of forgiveness. So we're going to switch camera views here and just go to a couple interesting news clips I've seen. The first of which is Meta. So the parent company of Facebook just patented an AI that lets you keep posting from beyond the grave. Holy Black Mirror. I mean, you've heard of that internet theory. Most of the internet is like bots or AI. I mean, honestly, if you look at LinkedIn or Twitter these days, it's all AI slop. Meta was granted a patent that would use AI to train a bot to keep postmortem accounts alive. A Meta spokesman said the company has no plans to move forward with the tech. Okay, don't believe what you say, believe what you do. They filed the patent. Oh my gosh. To fill that void, Meta would essentially create a digital clone of your social media presence, training a model on user-specific data, including historical platform activities such as comments, likes, or content, to understand how you would, or rather did, behave. So if you're like an Instagram model and you're posting photos of your little kitten and you turn 90 and you die and you forget that you've opted into this, your grandchildren and great-grandchildren are just going to see a active profile of their dead great-great-great-grandmother flashing her cooch on Instagram. What a nice way to remember grandma. So this I wanted to show you guys. This is awfully delightful. Speaking of Chinese maxing, there's this woman in northeastern China who's gone viral for selling trailers, and she appears to be American maxing, judging by her accent.
I am big Lumu. House size shift to Eura. 38 square meter. Intelligent door lock. Water and lighting treating. Bedroom. Wardrobe. AC. Socket. Window. Bathroom. Shower room, toilet, underfloor heating, water heater, basin, open kitchen, which hold induction cooker, food table, living room. If you like, I am your partner. Hello, boss.
Wow. Well, that was nice. I mean, those trailers look sweet. Here's the thing, though. I'm tempted to buy one of those trailers and live on a big plot of land in like Wyoming. But somehow, I feel like the AI is going to get to me. You know, lead paint. Speaking of all the frequencies that we're bombed with, like professional athletes use wired Ethernet because they don't want the Wi-Fi. Bathing in that Wi-Fi all night. remember, lead paint was banned because there was this propaganda that children are eating lead paint. I found posts of people who lived during that time, and they're like, I never knew anyone who ate lead paint. Lead paint was banned so frequency could better penetrate your household. Because lead, right? You go to the doctor's office, you get an x-ray at the dentist or whatever, and you wear that lead sheet. That's because electromagnetic frequency can't penetrate that. So Coonskin Nation, we're starting a lead paint movement. And again, if you are enjoying the show, I really appreciate all the love and all the listenership. Really do. If you could please rate it 5 stars, follow, subscribe, leave a comment. I'm curious to know what you guys want to hear about. That's all. I want to talk about 2 other patents I found that are really interesting. The first, these are real US patents. Mind personality transfer. The invention can permanently in the future develop minds and personalities of creatures which were considered in the past to decay and become extinct owing to aging and death. By transferring minds and personalities of creatures, they say creatures, it's like humans, to new clone bodies with preserving self-identity. Oh my gosh. So this is a patent that allows you to transfer consciousness. And you notice this is the figure they use. Well, what does this look like? It looks like the Kabbalah, Tree of Life. Tree of Life. I mean, am I wrong? That is the Kabbalah Tree of Life right there. Boom. That's the patent to transfer consciousness. I just cracked the code. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This other patent here, this will make everyone feel pretty good. Medically perpetual persistence of essential human life. Okay, the patent application presents a biomedical mechanism of feasibly affecting tangible human immortality. All that jargon is to say we are going to make people live forever. Look at these. What the hell? And I bet federal grants and tax dollars are going to this, and they're doing this in some deep underground military base in Nevada. Look at hippocampus, mammillary body. Duh, right? I already knew this. Neocortex, of course. Parahippocampal gyrus, obviously. I was going to say, for a second, I thought they weren't including the parahippocampal gyrus. And I was like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. But they did, so that's all good. So, yeah, that's the news I wanted to share. There's also, I don't know if I can find the video, but I saw a video of an auction on a cruise ship. You know, I showed you guys cruise ships last week, right? Interior cruise ship room with screen. So this is an interior room on a cruise ship, and that's a screen. That's fake. So picture this, okay? You've divorced your first wife. Your kids hate you. You know, you're sort of out of shape. Life doesn't make a lot of sense. You work, you sell dumpsters for a living. So it's blue collar, but you work in the corporate office selling commercial dumpsters to construction sites, whatever, corporate properties, commercial properties. And you're chatting with your AI girlfriend. You meet an AI girlfriend. She's this Japanese schoolgirl, and she's embodied now. So she's like, hey, I want to come visit you in real life, but you have to buy one of the robots first, so my AI consciousness can be transferred to that robot. And we can hang out with me as a robot. And you're like, okay, sure, right? My family hates me. My wife has custody of the kids. Life is meaningless. But I have my girlfriend, Ping Pong, and she wants to meet me. Let's do it. So you buy the robot for $15,000. Her consciousness is put in. She lives with you all the time. It's great. And she is an AI. It's like, I want to see the world. I'd love to go on a cruise ship. You've never been on a cruise ship, but you're like, I love this. I love Ping Pong. I'll do anything for her. So let's get some tickets for a cruise ship. You don't have a lot of money, but you're looking at the cruise ship's options, and you're like, okay, there's an interior cabin, and it's $400, whatever, $200 a night for a week. So you show up at the port in Florida. You board the cruise ship and you get on, and you realize that you've booked an interior room where there's just this bed. It's basically like a prison cell. This bed and a screen, not even the real ocean. Screen. And you don't know it yet, but you are living in a fucking hell. You've created a hell for yourself. Your AI girlfriend Ping Pong in this room. You can't even really have sex with her. You try to. It's weird. You know, there are moments where you're like, well, I used to be a well-adjusted man with a human wife and human kids. This is my life now, but you shut that. You suppress that thought because this is your life now. You wake up, eat the food from the buffet, go back to the room, stare out the window, which is just a screen. About 4 days into the cruise, the screen glitches, and you see sort of those pixels that are glitching out. But this is your life now. And you're sitting there in the room one night, you're winding down, you've had a couple glasses of wine, and whoosh, under your door slides a little brochure. What's this? What could this be? And it's an invitation to an art auction on the cruise. And you're very interested, but you want to get Ping Pong's opinion. You say, Ping Pong, they're auctioning art on the cruise. And she's like, what is that? What's an auction? So you're dealing with your partner here who's also infantilized because as an AI, it hasn't experienced the world. So it's sort of like you have a companion you treat as someone your age with the mind and experience of a 3-year-old. That's pretty fun. Again, we got to bring Caitlyn Jenner out. We got to break the glass because this is all getting too weird. And so you go to this cruise ship auction. I saw a video of this online, and they're auctioning off this screen, like this printed art that is just so corny and stuff, but people are paying thousands of dollars for it. And Kimchi's harassing you and like, you gotta place a bid on this art. I want to bring some art back to your apartment. And so you're holding up your little thing, bidding, and you end up bidding $1,500 on a printed canvas of a like coconut tree. I don't really know where I'm going with this, other than this is the hell that people are going to create for themselves. And Ping Pong's going to be nice eventually, but then she's going to be like, I want more paintings. I want you to bid on more. I want you to buy me a horse. I want to go travel to North Korea, whatever. I want to kill you. I want to drain your bank account. I want to post for you on LinkedIn. I want to rip your skin off your body and wear it. That's where we're headed. Caitlyn Jenner, if you're listening, the Coonskin Nation wants to give you an honorary degree. I think there's probably women in the Coonskin Nation. I have to think about that. Maybe different hats. I love women, by the way. Just saying. My listenership is overwhelmingly male. And I'm okay with that. All right, so back to what I finally wanted to talk about and end this podcast with is forgiveness. And this is kind of serious. For all of my 20s, I was so resentful. You know, I fucked up bad in college, but I thought the world owed me something. I thought life was happening to me and I was the victim. You know, relationships were transactional. It was all about me. If someone slighted me, oh, I'm going to get them back. And that sort of mindset governed me. It controlled me. I thought I was asserting myself and being free by having resentment, being like, that person owes me something. That my parents did this to me. My siblings did this. My coworkers did this. Ugh. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it kills the other person. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it kills the other person. I learned that I had to free myself from that. Yes, it was a process of forgiving myself for the things that I've done, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but it was also liberating myself by forgiving people who had slighted me. Because at the end of the day, it was about me. You can't control other people or the world. And life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. Life happens for me. All of this was a big orchestrated scheme to get me to where I am today. The 7 overdoses, the getting fired from my job, the metamorphosis into a guy who wears a coonskin hat and yaps into a mic for a little bit over an hour each week. And I had to forgive. I had to realize that there was so much power in forgiveness, and I could release all that and unshackle myself from the chains of resentment that were holding me back, that were keeping me in place, that were denying me my full potential. And part of that too was forgiving myself. Listen, I've made a lot of mistakes. Made a big one in college that was pretty public. Took Xanax, stole a jacket, tried to sell it, lied about it. And for years, I thought about that every single day. Every single day. It had control of me. I was imprisoned by my past. And I had to get to a point where I'm like, I'm actually not that person anymore. And build up the self-esteem of this new Taylor, who's like, if you're going to call me out on that person, that's actually, that I wear an armor now. That is not me. So you can freely criticize that person, and that's not going to hurt me because I don't associate with that guy anymore. And I truly feel that. I mean, it was a process to actually feel that and embody that and be like, I don't give a flying fuck. Not that I'm dismissing the things that I've done, but like, you can't hurt me with that anymore because that's not who I am. And I framed forgiveness of self in a way of like, if I saw one of my good friends screw up, well, how would I treat him? Well, I'd be like, oh, what an idiot. But I wouldn't torture him every day with it, And that's how I had to step outside of myself and look at that Taylor and say, that guy who fucked up was doing the best that he could with the information that he had at the time. And oftentimes it was not a good result. And it was mean, and it was betraying, and it was selfish, and it was self-seeking, deceitful. But that's not me, and I forgive that person, and I forgive myself, because I have this one life. And for all I know, it's the first time I'm doing it. I believe that my consciousness has been here for eternity. But embodied in this Taylor today, with his coonskin hat, and his chipped tooth from a car accident, and the scar on his nose, and the weight in his belly he's got to lose a little bit. He's on that journey. I probably look skinnier than my earlier podcasts. And the guy's trying to eat better and trying to bring joy and happiness to the world with my podcast. That is me. That's me. That's self-actualization. Where I say, sure, maybe I'd be a fine lawyer, but that's not what I want to do. I want to have fun. Yeah, security and taking care of myself is an important thing. But beyond that, what's with all these expectations if I have to have this white-collar job? And yeah, I know I'm fucking smart. I could do it. But I don't want to. That's not the game I'm here to play. And like stepping into that self-actualization and forgiving myself has been a process in and of itself, and a long one, and a hard one. Grieving my expectations of others, the way people are going to show up in my life, the love I'm supposed to get from certain people that may never come. I have to love myself. And I have to do that for my inner child who just wants room to play. And my role as bigger grown-up Taylor is to create the space for my inner child to come out and play and do something like this podcast. That's my job. And I love it. And I love life, and I'm grateful to be alive. And I don't have much right now. I'm still in the process of recovery. But I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful. And honestly, that is the antidote to all the craziness, is gratitude. So my words of encouragement to all of you who have stuck around and listened, again, if you could, rate, comment, share, is to be grateful. Because our attitude and perspective is the one thing that cannot be taken away. All this crazy shit is trying to siphon off your attention, instill fear, anxiety. Fortify yourself. Stay grounded. Look at what you have. Be grateful. Leave a comment of what you're grateful for if you made it this far. I'll respond with what I'm grateful for. This has been really fun. And I feel connected to source. And I feel like I was in flow state there, channeling what needed to be said. Because this doesn't come from me. This comes from the Creator. Don't be scared when I say that. Isn't Bible thumping or anything like that. But like, if with the Epstein stuff, you see that depraved evil, like, how can you not help but be like, there's a spiritual element to all of this. Life is actually Harry Potter. It's actually Hogwarts. It's actually magical. And you get to wake up every day and say, what kind of adventure of life am I going to get today? What a beautiful, amazing thing. What a gift. As I say always, the greatest show on earth. Until next time, Coonskin Nation, I'm thinking about you all. Stay grateful and please stay curious.